The bus driver involved in the accident in Benguet that killed 7 people is now facing charges of reckless imprudence resulting in damage to property, multiple physical injuries, and multiple homicide. Meanwhile, the Commission on Higher Education says the Marinduque State College also disregarded certain measures in ensuring the students' safety during their field trip to Baguio. Joining us in our studio this morning is CHED Executive Director Atty. Julito Vitriolo to give more light on the issue. Good morning, Atty. Vitriolo.
Morning, Ameline.
Sir, what charges will be filed against Marinduque State College? I understand that the bus that they commissioned for the field trip was not accredited by the DOTC.
Well, right now, Ameline, it's too early to tell what are the liabilities of the parties, because we have to understand that the MSC, or the Marinduque State College, is just one of the parties involved here. I think what we will do is to look at all the facts as they come in, and later on we will come up with an investigation on this and look at all the different facts here, because definitely we have to look at the school, what happened in the processes they adopted. We have to look at the tour operator, whether or not they are really accredited by the DOT, and how come there was a report that they engage a colorum bus, so to speak.
So that has yet to be clarified, Attorney Vitriolo.
Yes, because right now the main concern is there is still patients in Baguio, and the safety and security of these victims are foremost.
Pending the conclusion of the investigation, can the victims' families or those who are currently under hospital stay, from whom can they get help in terms of, for example, financial assistance?
Well,
with
right
their
now
medical needs?
the school is really helping them. Also the other stakeholders in Marinduque, even the local government units, I believe, are helping them. Other schools also in the area, like the Benguet State University, is also helping the patients, the students in Baguio.
So at the moment, have you imposed a moratorium or a sanction in that particular school, at least with Marinduque State College, that for now they are not allowed yet to have field trips?
Well, there's been call to impose such a moratorium in a wide scale, but I believe for Marinduque State College, it would be prudent for them to stop altogether the conduct of these tours and field trip, pending the adoption of more stringent measures, the taking of more, I would say, measures that would ensure the safety and security of their students.
Okay, so it's up to them if they do want to continue with the field trip or otherwise. They haven't really been imposed a sanction for a suspension as of now.
We haven't really adopted a moratorium, but it's something perhaps that we will elevate to our commission and bank for a possible discussion and consideration in the future.
As an educator, Attorney Vitriolo, is it really necessary to go on field trips?
Well, there are merits to it, Like, for example, if the course calls for or mandates the hands-on interaction or practical experience for students, the field trips and tours would be a good venue. But it's something that shouldn't be resorted to by other courses that do not need, this kind of activity. For instance, under our new regulation, by the way, we revised and made it more stringent. Last year, it's CMO 17 series of 2012. We indicated there that there should be a process. There are many requirements that have to be adopted, including consultation with students.
Before the actual field trip, before actually even planning it.
Right. Before any field trip or tour would be undertaken, because there are costs and whether or not it will be necessary. So the procedures are rather stringent and comprehensive, I would say.
I understand that there's also like a limit to it. If it's practicable, they should only limit themselves to a certain area and not necessarily go farther.
That's right, Amelie.
So would there be additional changes, Attorney Vitriolo, considering what has happened recently? Would, for example, I understand that one of the problems is that if indeed they hired a colorum bus,
Yes.
how will schools now accredit or hire individuals to help them with their field trips? Should they now ensure that if somebody, a supplier approaches them, they have to verify,
Check, you're right.
to check again if indeed they're accredited? Or would CHED have a master list as well, so that they would limit themselves? And would CHED have a decision on really limiting it and informing schools that some schools cannot participate in field trips because these are their courses and it seems it's not necessary?
Yes,
Would you
think,
be having such policies?
yes, those would be a very relevant consideration because early March, our Office of Student Services will convene a group to precisely to look into the policies again and see how we could further enhance it. Because as it is now, it's quite, I would say strict. But again, when accidents happen, it's hard to predict. But definitely, we can minimize or I would say reduce the risk. Because in our new regulation, even the submission of a risk assessment
It's
plan,
already very stringent.
yes, so it's mandated. Coordination with the destination, and then the delimitation. For example, as you mentioned, the destination should be nearby, not only to reduce costs, but of course to ensure
To
the
limit
safety.
the possible
And the
problems.
dangers, no?
Yeah.
So in essence, when schools conduct field trips or tours, it should not be endangering the lives and safety of the students.
And lastly, sir, so will CHED impose a moratorium for now for
Well-
field trips until you will finally be able to come up with a newer policy?
Right now, there is no decision yet on that, but it's something that we will elevate to our commission and bank for, as I said, discussion and maybe consideration.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Amelia.
Okay, we just spoke with CHED Executive Director Attorney Julito Vitriolo.